What's up, y'all? This is Tay Driven, and I got four topics I want to talk about today. And the first one is talk about love for people when following Christ. So, what I've learned this far on my walk with Christ is that since I've been increasing in my obedience section with God and following His instructions, I've been realizing that I'm having an increased love for people. Like I genuinely want to see people doing good now. I genuinely want to love on people, whether it's strangers, family, or friends. I genuinely just want to show up as Christ-like in someone else's life because I know what God is doing in my life and how He's showing up. So that's something that I've been realizing, y'all, is that um, since I've been seeking God more, like seeking His heart for real, since I've been taking my walk that much more seriously, getting delivered once again from my wicked ways, and just watching Him completely take me in once more and just keep rocking with me is increasing my love for Him. And the more that my love increased for Him, the more that it makes me want to become literally Him. Like it literally makes me want to open up my heart and allow the Holy Spirit, God, Jesus, to just live there. And that way it can bleed out of me onto everybody else's life that I come in contact with. So that's something that I've been realizing. And I just find that interesting because, or more like I share that with y'all because if you can tell, one indicator that you know where you're at with Christ is how you treat people, right? If you're treating people disrespectful, rude, or only treating them good to the extent of what they can do for you, then that's a even reflection of how your relationship with Christ is. And to that point, that should be something that you should repent about because we should be treating people like Christ treat the church, right? And everybody should experience God in the flesh by meeting you. Everybody that come in contact with you should be meeting God literally because God lives in all of us because He left us the Holy Spirit. So if they're not meeting God or having a godly encounter or having a godly interaction with you, right? Then that's an indicator that there's somewhere in your heart posture that you're not loving on people for real. And that's something that He been working on me with in my heart posture of me finally reaching a point with people in general that I'm loving on them for real. Anybody that I come in contact with, I am now seeking for them to meet God in the flesh. Right? Lowercase g, of course, but y'all know what I'm talking about. If Jesus lives in your heart, then everybody that you come in contact with, Jesus Himself wants them to meet Him through you. Through you, that is what will make them say, hey, I want to get to know whatever it is that He worshiped, whatever it is that He served, whatever it is that's on His altar. I want to serve that. I want to meet that. I want to have an encounter with that because His presence was so graceful, so kind, so loving towards me that I'm interested in meeting and serving His God, which is Jesus Christ, right? So that's all I want to say right there about just, loving on people for real. I feel like that's something that we lack in the world right now is genuine love. And also when you come into Christ and you get closer to Him and He draws closer to you, genuine love comes out of your heart posture because genuine love is all that you want to be. You don't want to be anything else but genuine love. I want everybody that come in contact with me or with you to experience genuine love, right? You don't need to know a person for 15 years to give them some genuine support, some genuine love, some genuine anything of what they need in the moment. And that's what I feel like everybody needs. Everybody needs to experience that, right? Your love could help somebody else's depression. That's important. Your love can help someone else's depression. So that's why Anybody that you come in contact with, a server, the janitor, anybody from the lowest rank to the highest rank, let them meet Jesus Christ that lives inside of you. Because that trust and believe is helping them in some way, shape, or form in their life, because they needed to meet you in that day. Otherwise, they wasn't going to make it. So that's why you're that important. That's why every single one of us is that important of taking our walk seriously with God. Because imagine a world where everybody has God inside them, and they are connected with him, in tune with him, have an intimate relationship with him, have a God-fearing relationship with him. Then that means everybody, when they have their ups and downs, when they run across you or that next human being, will encounter God, and it will bring them back up. It will lift their spirit back up, because all of us is carrying God himself. So that's something to ponder on right there. Moving on to the next topic, I want to talk about trusting God with all your ways. So that's something that right now I'm currently learning how to do, that he's been training me on, is trusting him with all my ways. And yeah, I literally just been leaning on him 100%. I once thought I was leaning on him 100%, but in real life I wasn't. I was leaning on him like 70%, and at 30%, I still had me involved, and I was still trying to do some of my own ways, some of my own things, which wasn't working, which were only leaving me with depression, which was only leaving me with anger. It was only leaving me with frustration. So right now, and also when you're not trusting God with all your ways, whatever that percentage is, that it can be 90% trusting him, it can be 80, 70, 60 trusting him. Whatever that 10%, 20, 30% is that you're not trusting him, that you're lacking in trust, there's some form of idolizing that you have that's on your altar. So that's something that was happening with me. I realized that with my 30% that I was not trusting in God himself, that 30%, that was going towards myself. I was idolizing myself and thinking that I can do this half, I can do this part, and not involve God. And I'm here to tell you that you can't do that. You can't do 30%. You can't do 20%. You can't do 10%. You can't do 5%. You can't do 1%. You can't do 0.1% yourself, because it's going to fail, and it's just going to leave you. It's going to leave an open door for the enemy to come in and manipulate your whole process that you got going with God in the first place. So that is what was happening with me. I was leaving an open door for the enemy to come in and manipulate my own mind, and then I'm in the end fulfilling his duties versus fulfilling my Father's duties with that 30% that I'm doing. Right? Whatever that percentage is that you lack in God about is when you start to leave that open door open for the enemy, and slowly but surely you're working for the enemy. Your ways is now becoming astray, and you're not going to end up at the destination that you belong. So that's something that I want to share with y'all. That's why it's so important that you trust God with all your ways, because it's that serious. Whatever thing that you're not trusting on him is manipulation. You leave room for manipulation. So I just want to throw that on y'all, right? Because I was getting manipulated in a couple of my ways. Whether that look like escapism or whatever it is for y'all, it leaves room for manipulation of you can do it your own. This little bit, you can do it your own. This little bit, you don't need to involve God. I'm here to tell you, every little thing that you are having trouble with, you need to involve God. Even with the good things, right? Because there's good and bad. With the good things, because there's been a lot of good things that's been happening in my life as well. With the good things, I need to involve God. With the good things, you need to involve God, right? With the smallest act of a good thing, invite God into that environment and let his presence be. God, I invite you into this moment of goodness that's happening for me. And I got 2 great opportunities. I invite you in it. I don't want to make the right decision myself. I want you to make the decision for me. That's how it happens, right? So with me, I got a couple of opportunities that's at hand really great for me, and I love it because God is working in my life for real. However, now what he showed me is this is where you invite me in, because although you have two great opportunities, I am the one that got the answer of what door you go through. Because if you leave me out of this process, of which I the one that led you all the way up to this process, to these two great opportunities, and just for you to leave me behind and say, all right, God, I got it from here. This is the 30% I'm talking about. The lack of trust. I got it from here, God. I'm smart enough to know which door to go through. No, you're not. God is the all-knowing. So now I tap into the all-knowing God, right? So, all right, God, I know you as my Father. Now I need to know you as my Lord, right? The all-knowing Lord. So that is when I go to him and say, all right, God, with these two doors, which one is your presence at? Where do you reside in one of these doors? And then I worship him, I meditate on his word, and I listen to him. That's important. Have quiet time set out so you can listen to him, because he will tell you. But it's up to you to do your part and do diligence to listen to him. Because that is one of the things that a lot of us lack as well, that we can all do better on, is just setting out time in our day to just be quiet, right? And sometimes that do look like boredom, but that's okay. With that boredomness, my bad, y'all. Boredomness comes with quietness. Quietness comes with hearing God when you focus on him for real. So don't let technology get in the way of your boredomness, or of being bored, and you just scrolling on your phone because you don't want to be bored no more. Don't let technology get in the way of God. Don't let technology get in the way of your relationship with God, of growing your intimacy with him, learning his ways, listening to him, seeking him, watching him, all the things, reading about him. Don't let your technology get in the way of that. Because right now, I'm telling you, that is what it's doing. Technology is getting in the way of building the relationship with God. You wake up in the middle of the night and it just be you and God. Who you think woke you up? You're not just waking up in the middle of the night for consecutive days. God is waking you up so he can talk to you, have that conversation with you. But what's the first thing you do? You try to go back to sleep, but once you find out you can't go back to sleep, what's the next thing you do? You pick your phone up and you scroll on Instagram. You pick your phone up, you looking at emails. You pick your phone up, you on Facebook, you on TikTok, you on all the things, you on all the social media platforms. You go to YouTube, you try to play something. You doing all the things to try to keep yourself entertained, except sit down and say, all right, God, you woke me up for a reason. What it is. What is it that you want to talk to me about? I'm all ears. And I'm going to sit here until you talk to me. And then after that, put me to sleep. Because it's you that woke me up in the first place. So I expect you to put me back to sleep after you get done talking to me. And guess what? He'll do just that. So yeah, y'all, that's what I just want to say right there on trusting God with all your ways, right? The third thing that I want to talk about is being relatable with your story, right? So yeah, being relatable with your story. Understand that your story is everything. Your life story is what makes you relatable to the world, in the world, right? Your life story is what saves other people's lives. Your life story is what makes you uniquely you. Your life story was perfectly designed by God to happen the way it is happening, so it can give you the speaking power and the realness to be able to just be a light for real, right? So that's why being relatable with your story is important. No matter how dark your story is, don't feel ashamed, because there's nothing to feel ashamed about in your story. God is in your story. God wrote your story. Give him the glory and shine for him in your story, right? Don't shy away when people ask you, hey, what is your life story about? Don't shy away from that. I'm here to tell you, God wants you to not shy away from telling your story. Somebody need to hear your story because somebody need that help that they struggling with. And God put that and made you go through that so you can be the one to share your story and help that next person that's seeking help. Somebody right now is searching the internet looking for your story. So when you gonna tell it? That's the question. When you gonna wake up and tell your story so that person can now wake up, search the internet, find you, and be healed, be delivered, have motivation, have inspiration, have all those things that only you can give them. Because that's how powerful your story is. That's how relatable your story is. That's why you shouldn't feel shame or all the things, right? You shouldn't feel embarrassed, right? You shouldn't feel anything that's not from our Father, because our Father didn't give us none of those type of spirits. You shouldn't feel anxiety talking about your story, worry, what they gonna say, all those things that's normal, it's common. But I'm here to tell you, the Father didn't give us that spirit. He gave us, he did not give us a spirit of fear. He gave us a spirit of love, power, and a sound mind. That's what you operate off of when you tell your story. Love, power, and a sound mind. That is all that you focus on and dwell on. Love, power, and a sound mind. When you tell your story, tell that to yourself, cast off anxiety, and get to speaking or doing whatever that creative thing of how you express yourself to tell your story. That is what you do next. Let that be the very next thing, because somebody needs to see your creative ways of how you tell your story so they can get to doing their job. Right now, you not telling your story is holding up millions of people of them not doing their job because they can't see your content. So that's why it's very important for you to get out there and you start now. Start today, right? Stop being a coward. That's the message right there, right? And I know it might hurt, right? But I can't walk on eggshells with that message for y'all. Stop being a coward and tell your story, because it's very serious to save someone else's life. Your life is not the only thing that matter, right? There's someone out there that desperately needs your story, and because you're not telling it, they suffering. And it's your fault. That blood is on your hands. So that's why you need to tell your story and stop being a coward. Believe in God and know that He's there. He's guiding everything that you do. The enemy can't touch you. You're God's child, right? You're a chosen one. You've been handpicked. Get up and tell your story. So that's all I got to say right there on the third one. Number 4 is following God through adversity. So adversity, that can be anything. That can be within yourself. It don't even got to be against other people or the world. Right now, I just want to speak specifically on adversity within yourself and why it's important that you follow God through that. So sin is a very real thing. That's something that you wake up to when you start following God for real. God wake you up to sin. Like, you start to really hate sin because that's what your Father hate. He start to show you like he just start to show you sin in a real way of how it affects you, right? All those things that you trying to stop and you can't, that's sin. All those things that you constantly trying to not think about, that's sin, right? Your flesh is loud. That's sin, right? All those things that you feel that has a hold on you for real, when you finally really trying to lock in, get your mind clear, get purified, and be holy, and it's right in the middle of your tracks of being holy, that's sin. That's what God wake you up to. And that's all within yourself, right? And that's something that He been waking me up to more and more, that I draw closer to Him, is because what I realize right now is that there's like a force that you feel when you go against temptation, or temptation is around, or you lock in with God again, and you like on day 3 locking in on your P's and Q's, and day 4, boom, you get hit with this force field of evilness. You get hit with the strongest force field that tells you to go back and do that thing. Better yet, you just get hit with a force field that just can almost have you feeling paralyzed and stop you on your track. And then you just not do nothing at all, AKA being a sluggard, which is a sin, because you being a sluggard means you not doing God's will, and you not doing God's will means that you are that's sin, right? Anything outside of God's will is sin. It's just that simple, right? Because that means that you idolizing something else if it's not going to be God's will on your altar. You know, like that's all it is to it. It's really simple, right? So yeah, and that's something that I've been learning right now that God been showing me is how to follow him for real. So now when I feel those forces on me, because we going to feel those forces on us for the rest of our life. And that's why we need God for the rest of our life, right? Every day is a constant battle for me. I am not perfect. I'm far from perfect. I am not no one that you can look up to for real, because I am just like you, trying to freaking survive, learn God's ways, and keep him first. And every day it's a struggle to keep him first, but I do it because it's obedience. That's the key, is obedience. Obedience through God's grace. That's the key. That's what I found out. That's what I've learned. If I'm dependent on myself to follow through every action God tell me, I'm not going to make it. I'm not even going to make it to heaven if that's the case. Just being honest with y'all. Because I'm that imperfect. I'm that sinful, right? So what I've been learning is that when I feel those evil forces that be on me sometimes, I invite Jesus in. If it's a thought that I need to repent and ask for forgiveness about, I do that immediately now. I don't run from them. When you have those thoughts, the first action for me when I have those negative thoughts is that I have like a knee-jerk reaction to want to run. Because I used to be a runner. I used to run for so long away from my problems throughout my whole life, but now I'm not running no more, right? Because I've learned. I know better. I've been picked. God showed me, right? And that's what I'm sharing with y'all. Don't run no more, right? So, yeah. Dang, where I was going right there. So, when you feel like running, invite God in and let him be, right? Invite his presence immediately, because that's what you need. When you feel like running, depend on his grace. His grace has power. We need to learn how to use his graceful power, right? If we can understand that his grace is power in his grace, then we can understand how to utilize the tools God left us with his fruits of the Spirit. All of his fruits of the Spirit is a source of power that we need to tap into and keep moving forward in our lives with faith, our sword of faith. All of this stuff is spiritual. And once we get the hang of that, then that's when our life can start exploding forward, right? Exploding upwardly, right? That's what I'm learning right now. I'm learning how to use the power of his grace, because with the power of his grace, that is the fuel to our obedience, right? And then our obedience is the fuel to our intimacy with God. Through that, there's blessings in his kingdom and his will on the other end of that. That's completion, right? And when we think that we can fulfill his will on our own, when we start thinking that, all right, God, you gave me so much of your courage, I am now good. All right, God, you lift me up out the mud, I'm now clean. All right, God, you picked me up, you healed my heartbreak, I am now strong, I'm not weak no more. Thank you for that. And now I'm about to serve you for the rest of my life, and I got you. The key is, I got you. That's where you go wrong. When you start saying, I got you. No, you by yourself ain't going to do nothing. That's only going to last for so long, and then you're going to fall back in that slump and you're going to be hurt for real. So that's why I'm here to tell y'all, stop trying to fulfill God's will by yourself. Right? Wherever you at on your walk, y'all, a lot of y'all is above me on y'all walks. So I'm telling y'all, while y'all ahead, continue to work with God and in everything that you do. Continue to work with God. And anytime you feel yourself feeling strong enough to be like, all right, I got this one, God, I'm going to do this for you. No, stop. That's where you're going to mess up. That's where the enemy have you slipping up at. It's just that little tiny gap, right, of language that the enemy can put that seed in your garden, and then that's going to sprout if you don't fix it and come out of agreement with that thought. That's what I've been learning, right? There's power in his grace. As long as we stay using the power of his grace plus our obedience, or mixed with our obedience, we are good, we are safe, we will succeed his will. That's all it is. It's that simple. That's one of the keys that I unlocked, and that's what I've been learning. And that's how I've been surviving when I go against my own temptations of what I handle in my own life. So I share that because with y'all, whatever that temptation is with y'all that got y'all in a loop, start facing it with the power of God's grace. And if y'all don't know how to do that, ask God. It looks different for all of us, because all of us is uniquely made in his image and have our own unique relationship with him in an intimate way, right? How he talked to me, he talked to y'all different, right? How he showed me things, he showed y'all things differently, right? So that's going to be the same way with the power of grace, how you use his power, right? For me, all I could tell y'all, this is something this is a new learning style for me. This is something new. This is new information for me that I've been learning from him. So right now, all I could tell y'all is that I haven't fully figured it out how to use his power of his grace. But what I do when I go up against temptation is I tell God, all right, God, I'm going to be obedient. I'm not going to do it. And I invite the power of your grace in this moment in my spirit, and let your will be done. That's how I do it. And then I feel better. I feel stronger. I feel like I'm leaning on him more.